All right. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, and I want to thank you for joining me for this live. So on this particular live, we are going to be looking at Sebastian's mother and stepfather's chart for that. I just released the video yesterday. So I'm actually pulling that up right now. So just 1 second. I apologize that I'm a few minutes late. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Hi, Tara. How are you? Let me know if you can hear me, please, because I don't know if you can. These aren't the best headphones, but they're the only ones that I can find. So while you do that, I'm going to pull up something real quick. Okay, good. And I'm going to make my necklace too. So how are you today, Tara? So nice to see you. Thank you for joining me. So I'm going to pull up on the side screen real quick the video that I just did for Sebastian. And then I'll add just the picture of it, and then I'll kind of discuss why I made this video and why it was important to me and kind of like my purpose behind it. So 1 second. I haven't done this in a long time, so I apologize, and I'm moving slowly. I'm good, busy, have like a lot of appointments. So 1 second, let me bring it up. Can I do this one? I can make my box on the screen smaller. Maybe that one. It's a little bit better. So, okay. All right, now I'm going to add the video on the side. I don't know. Hold on. I'm sorry. I meant to have this all pulled up, but I was running behind. So here's the share screen. Okay, so this is the video that I did yesterday on Sebastian. So basically it is the video about his mother and stepfather, kind of, what will happen if they're charged and the astrology view of it. So let me see. 1 second. I'm just reading something. I apologize. Okay. So the reason I kind of wanted to do this video on Sebastian's mother and stepfather is because I felt like it was kind of important to look into the aspect of why they would do something like this, kind of so it would be a little bit easier to look into maybe possibly like what could have happened with Sebastian, and then kind of maybe they're feeling around it now, kind of whatever, that might be like as far as their emotions. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it or not, Tara. Did you have a chance to watch this video? If not, we can play it on here, and then that way you can kind of watch it and see as far as the prediction for if they'll be arrested, their behavior if they are arrested, and how they're kind of feeling about that. And then we can kind of discuss it a little bit more. But let's see. I think I might just go in. Yeah, I don't think you probably did. I think I released it like late last night. So we'll probably just go ahead and replay it anyways, just because normally I would do the birth chart on the live, and it's only like a 12-minute video. Hello, Kim. How are you? Thank you for joining us. And how has your day been? And then let me start this from the beginning. Yeah, so this birth chart is just more of a summary of kind of like their astrological, signs, kind of their behaviors around that, and kind of just, why they're so paranoid, like why their energy feels so paranoid, kind of restless in the sense that it feels like they're kind of hiding where before they felt very exposed. They felt like they wanted to be kind of at least CP seemed like he wanted to be in the spotlight, where now he seems like he wants to very much back away from the spotlight. He wants to be very small almost, doesn't want people looking at him. So it's a very different energy around him than it was if you first started watching the case. Thank you. I wanted it to be something, again, that kind of just more gets to the point, the reading itself, the astrology reading, kind of just getting more to the point of their behavior and what would have made them behave that way. Because I feel like you kind of have to know why somebody and how somebody behaves to know why they did something. Otherwise it kind of doesn't connect the dots, especially when something like this has happened. It's almost so horrible you can't imagine why it would have happened. You know what I mean? Because it shouldn't have, So we're going to play the video real quick, though, if y'all like, because I know some people haven't had a chance to watch it. And again, I do share the video, the birth chart, usually on lives. And I just feel like that might be the best way to kind of go over it quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly. Let me expand the screen. Okay. I feel like this should play pretty well. Normally, the internet's really laggy, but I don't feel like it will be this time. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start the video from the beginning. And this was the one I released last night. And this, again, was the astrology view on his mother and stepfather, as far as if, their feelings around possibly getting arrested and just how they're feeling right now in general, and then how their behavior will be when that happens, if it happens. So, which I think it will happen. So let's go ahead and play that video quickly. Well, not quickly, but you get it.
Hi everyone, and thank you for being here.
Please. In today's video, we're going to take a closer look at the birth charts of Sebastian's mother and stepfather. Not to speculate or sensationalize, but to better understand the emotional and psychological patterns that may influence how they respond if they are faced with charges or jail time in the future. This is a delicate topic, and I want to be clear. This video is not about blame. It's about exploring the patterns that may be playing out now that public attention is growing and the pressure for justice is building. Astrology doesn't excuse choices, but it can offer insight into the internal mechanisms behind a person's behavior. And in a case like Sebastian's, where truth and accountability deeply matter, understanding those inner dynamics can help us all see the bigger picture. So I want to thank you for watching and for continuing to stand for truth, awareness, and justice. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this birth chart. And also, right before I do read this birth chart, I want to add this disclaimer. Everything written, predicted, and or stated in this video is allegedly and based off my opinion only. Thank you. So we're going to start with Sebastian's mother. Emotional energy read. Primary vibes, defensive, strained, uneasy. Sebastian's mother feels the tension rising, but instead of meeting it with humility or grief, she appears to be tightening her defenses. There's a heaviness around her energy, like someone constantly scanning, watching, and trying to stay one step ahead of the truth. Her likely emotional state. Fear masked as indifference. She may be acting nonchalant outwardly, but spiritually, her aura is jittery. There's a frantic energy that surrounds her. It's as if she is waiting for the next shoe to drop. Anger and control. As people start to speak louder for justice, she may begin to lash out or attempt to manipulate the narrative more. Control is her comfort zone, but that grip is starting to weaken. Guilt buried deep. It's there, but it's walled off. She is not allowing herself to fully feel what she has done or what she has allowed to happen to Sebastian. This will be her reckoning later. Sebastian's stepfather, emotional energy read. Primary vibes, heavy, numb, and avoidant. His energy feels denser and less defensive, more suppressive at this time. A lot like someone sitting under the weight of truth they've buried so deeply that they barely feel anything anymore. But the cracks are beginning to form. He is starting to feel like hunted down prey, and he should. Emotional status states. Likely emotional states. Avoidance and numbness. He's spiritually checked out, and he likely avoids discussions, interviews, or anything that forces confrontation at this time. But the noise is getting louder again, and the avoidance is starting to fray. Fear of exposure. He senses that there is something shifting. The energy around him is starting to close in on him like prison walls. Whether or not he feels guilt at this point is still unsure, but he does feel threatened. Instinct to isolate. He doesn't want the attention anymore. He doesn't want to talk, and he would rather vanish than be accountable. The silence is starting to speak volumes. They both feel the pressure. Make no mistake, they do feel it. Every video shared by his army, every post calling for justice, and every new article on a Reddit thread. Every time Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers' name is spoken aloud in truth and love, they feel it. It creates a vibrational wave that surrounds them. You can imagine it like a spiritual siren, and now it's getting louder. They may act like nothing's happening. They may still pretend to be innocent. But spiritually, the universe is no longer protecting their lives. Justice has its own heartbeat, and they can feel it pulsing through the walls around them. Why the stepfather feels paranoid and closed in. Fear of exposure. His spirit field feels tight and constricted, almost like it's too small for all the pressure building around him. It's not paranoia in the sense of overreacting. It's tuned into the rising tide of truth. Energetic contract shift. If he concealed or harmed, there's a contract between karma and justice coming due. That creates a spiritual tightening, walls starting to creak under the weight of accountability. Why the mother feels on constant alert. Hypervigilance. Right now, she's in a mode of watch, protect, and hide anxiety. Her spirit feels the constant need to scan its surroundings, imagining threats that may or may not be real. Shreds of guilt or fear. Whether or not it stems from conscious wrongdoing or not, her energy shows layers of fear tangled with defense. There's a feeling of being watched and always expecting confrontation. Mirror vibration. When you tap into the mother pattern, there's anxiety, emotional overwhelm, and protective mechanisms. It feels like walking through a watchtower. Are they just paranoid, or is something actually happening? I feel it's both. They are keyed into something real, the rising public pressure, legal movements, and spiritual vibrations his army sends. But they are also reacting by fracturing mentally and projecting, which amplifies paranoia. These emotions aren't their imaginations. They are sensory responses to vibrational frontline energy they are receiving from Sebastian's army. They feel it rising, and their own broken energy reflects their inner fractures of the dynamic. Who does it haunt more? The stepfather. He is haunted more because it's a private haunting, not spoken or acknowledged by him, just quiet nights, sudden fears, and tightening chest pressure. It creeps in like smoke through the cracks. He may not show remorse as we define it, but something in his spirit knows what was taken and that it can never be undone. He tries to walk around it, but it follows him everywhere he goes like a ghost. He doesn't speak of guilt, he wears it. He's haunted, not healed. The mother. Her energy shows denial and performance. Her alertness comes more from self-protection than sorrow. She may replay what happened, but not as a mother mourning a son, more like someone fearful of losing control over the narrative. It's not that she doesn't feel anything, but her grief is so entangled with image and fear that her ego can't face the truth yet. That numbness is her shield, and it's beginning to crack. What this means. They are becoming increasingly aware that a force is moving against the story they have tried controlling, and it's not just law enforcement or social media noise anymore. It's personal, and it has Sebastian's light in it. Who will crack first? Sebastian's stepfather, the one who will crack first and the hardest, in my opinion. He will crumble in silence. The stillness will start to eat at him. The air of isolation, the ticking of time, and the absence of distraction will start to peel back the layers of his avoidance. Inside those four walls, there will be no one to pretend for, no routine to run from his thoughts, and no Sebastian to hide from anymore. He is the one who will truly break down, haunted not just by what happened, but by the echoes of a child he tried to silence. He'll begin to feel Sebastian in the quiet and see his eyes when he closes his own. He will feel the weight of what was taken in every second of that echo chamber. His spirit will possibly grieve, and if he does, it will hurt. But it won't be a noble regret. It will be a raw spiritual collapse. Sebastian's mother, the one who will resist, then slowly crumble. She will hold out longer. She'll fight against perceptions, craft new narratives, and maybe even blame others. But inside, something will begin to crack. not because of empathy, but because of identity loss. She's built her existence on control, performance, and appearance. Jail strips all that away. What's left after that? Nothing, in my opinion. That emptiness will terrify her, and that's when the guilt will start to bubble up, not because she suddenly becomes a better person, but because the silence will make her face herself. Her grief will come through the collapse of her image, not directly through Sebastian, and that's the biggest spiritual tragedy of this all. But regret will arrive, just late and very tangled. Who will regret it the most? In the deepest sense, the stepfather will feel it most profoundly. He may not admit it, he may not confess it out loud, but inside the soul knowing will start to burn. He will sit with the weight of what was lost, not just in Sebastian, but in what he let himself become. Why is Sebastian's mother so cold about his disappearance? On a soul level, she may have cut off her emotional access to Sebastian long before he disappeared, either because he triggered feelings she didn't want to face, guilt, shame, or inadequacy. He required nurturing that she didn't know how to give him, and she was bonded to someone who rejected him and chose loyalty over her son. That inner split often leads to emotional detachment, and it feels cold because it is. She may have told herself he's difficult, he's dramatic, and I'm doing my best, but in truth, she abandoned him. If her core self is tied to control, appearance, and validation from others, then the truth about what she did is something she emotionally refuses to touch. This doesn't make her innocent, it makes her dangerously unself-aware. There is a cost, it just hasn't come due yet. Just because she seems unaffected doesn't mean she's safe. The universe has not forgotten. Her ancestors feel the weight. Her soul knows, even if her conscious mind is locked in. Why she possibly doesn't regret her behavior in this situation. At this time, it's because she can't. Not yet. Regret requires empathy. Empathy requires courage. And courage requires facing pain. Katie and Chris are cowards and bullies, in my opinion. She's built her whole identity around avoiding that pain, so she stays cold. But coldness is not a strength, it is a spiritual starvation. She is empty, and that emptiness is louder than screaming. Sebastian isn't waiting for her regret. He's already moved into peace because his army's love has reached him in ways her love never did. If you feel sick to your stomach by this, then you should, because what she did isn't just neglect. It is spiritual betrayal of the highest kind. A spiritual and emotional analysis from Sebastian's energy when you send him love. Sebastian feels it immediately, like warmth rushing into a space that was once cold. His energy is incredibly sensitive, especially to sincerity. It doesn't matter how long someone knew him or didn't. What matters is the vibration behind the action. When it's pure, when it's full of care, he lights up. Every kind word, prayer, or song shared in his name becomes a beam of light around him. And when you tell his story, Sebastian becomes brighter and bolder. When you share his name, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, and talk about what happened or stand up to injustice, it sends ripples through the energetic field around his case. It shakes the walls that were built by lies. It makes the people hiding feel exposed, even if they don't know why. Spiritually, his energy becomes more activated when truth is spoken aloud. It's almost like it lifts the timeline or out of the shadow. And with that closing energy, I want to thank you for being here and taking the time to understand this part of the story. As always, this isn't about drama, it's about truth, patterns, and justice. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, and if this case matters to you like it does to me, please consider sharing the video to help keep Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers' name and story alive. I will see you in the next one. Stay grounded, stay aware, and thank you for standing with Sebastian. Okay, y'all. So that was the video. And I just love all the pictures of Sebastian. And thank you. Like I said, I really wanted to do something that I felt like, again, carries a lot of his light and weight in it. So I like to do them in that format. Yeah, so he sits like Scorpio's in October too. And all I could get like was the birth month and year. So, I mean, you know, you're going to carry, I feel like you carry some of those traits. I know that's going to be controversial for me to say that, but that's how I feel when you're kind of around that birth frame anyways, or that birth time frame. So But yeah, I hope that y'all enjoyed that birth chart reading. And let me kind of go ahead and I might see if I can kind of, I don't really want to make my face that big. I think I might just leave it like that, to be honest. So, but yeah, so do y'all have any, comments or thoughts, Kim or Tara, Chief, anyone, when you watched that video that maybe y'all were thinking that you would have wanted to voice and talk about with somebody when you were watching it? Or I'm gonna do this too. I think I can do it where, let me see if I can do it where it doesn't have. Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna picture that. So there, we'll just leave it like that for right now. And then let me kind of pull up the list. Yeah, and that's kind of why, I kind of wanted to bring this out the most. And I'd kind of also written like a little letter in my community post area of kind of about that, kind of just the mother's behavior towards it and why it's so abnormal and, just kind of a bunch of red flags in her behavior. So 1 second, I'm trying to look at that too. I'm trying to pull that up. And also too with, the stepfather, I do think that he does sit and think about it a lot more than KP does for some reason. I think KP pushes it to the back of her mind a lot more than what CP does. Let me see real quick, y'all. So yeah, it's like when you first tuned into like when you first started watching their case, kind of, at least for them on the internet and kind of the stuff they were doing, going in and out of the chat, at least CP was doing it. CP was going in and out of the chat rooms and arguing with lots of people, being very dramatic, saying really offensive things about Sebastian, just really being trash to me. So when you kind of like surrounded yourself around that case, then it was very like dramatic feeling, like kind of like a circus, like he was making it a circus to kind of keep everybody distracted is what the feeling was. So that's almost like why he was jumping to all these drama pages and having all this gossip. And he was, and I kind of feel like he was almost getting off on it too, like he was enjoying all the attention. Now when you kind of look into the energy, it's almost like they're not enjoying all of that attention anymore. It's kind of like they're very small feeling, so it's almost like they're trying to kind of just nobody look at them disappear. Let's see. So Kim, she is cold. I mean, I can only wrap my head around the behavior because I saw. Yeah, and that's kind of it. That's how I feel about the both of them. I do feel like they're on the level of like a Casey Anthony type thing, So especially because it does, when you're looking more at what KP did, you would have had to emotionally distance yourself for a very long time from him to be able to kind of do something like this. And when Seth did his live recently, he was saying that's not the same person that he married or even divorced. So he, it would be interesting to know, what kind of happened maybe in between that time frame that would have changed that. But again, I do think it relates a lot to CP for whatever reason, just had it something against Sebastian. And so she kind of just fell in line with that because it kept her relationship like calm for them, I guess, in their own way. It's kind of like they both teamed up and kind of just went against him instead of her taking up for Sebastian. So, but let me also pull this up because I did have, and I know they're looking into laws, which I think would be a good thing in this case, just because nothing has really happened movement wise yet. So anytime that you do like a civil suit or something like that, you could at least kind of start some movement and having different, branches kind of start to look into it, different investigators, things like that. So I do think looking into the Sebastian's law is a good idea. And hopefully that is something that Seth can get into place pretty soon. And then also in the meantime, maybe be working on the civil suit part for himself so that he can kind of maybe get some other, at least get them charged with something so you can kind of get the ball rolling at least. So, but that kind of is, again, just the video that I did and that I wanted to share with y'all because, again, I normally do share these on the live. And then I'm trying to pull up one other thing, but it's not really working right now. second. Having a problem with my email. Yeah, my email is not pulling up. I had something in my email separate that I was going to read. It's just not pulling up right now. So let me see if I can do it from my phone. Probably be better. Yeah, so I can't really find the link that I'm looking for, y'all. So give me 1 second and I will be right back. I'm going to try to pull that up. So hold on. I'm going to pause this part. Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to see if I could find it, the article that I was going to read for Sebastian, but I can't really find it. So I don't want to keep like looking for it. So I do apologize that I took a moment to do that. But I don't know if there's any other things about the video that y'all kind of wanted to reference to talk about or not, because I don't really have, besides the article I was going to read, I don't really have too much lined up for that after the video because I can't find the article that I was going to read. Yeah, I agree, Chief. So that would be nice whenever that does happen, because I know Seth has been waiting for a very long time for just any type of answers at all. And I know that's becoming frustrating to not have that and feel like people aren't helping you and supporting you when you need it. And that's always a frustrating, lonely feeling. So hopefully, you know, that again, he can get some answers, some type of movement in, you know, in Sebastian's case so that he can kind of go on to the next step. So that would be great. I do agree. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and sign out for now, just because I don't really, again, have the article I was looking for. And that's kind of the end of the birth chart. I could reread it and pull up the other document part of it, but it's exactly what's in the video too. So I do want to thank y'all for joining me for the review of the birth chart video. And I will look for the article, and next time I'll try to print it out so that way I can have it for the side to the side in case it doesn't pull up on the computer again. So I hope that everyone has a good night though, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.